Pistons Live is presented by Cure Auto Insurance. Well, what a game this was. Had a little bit of everything. Some emotional highs, some emotional lows. And man, oh man, it was a physical and emotional battle all night long, with the Pistons came out on top, 110-104 the final. And the bench proved to be the ones that were able to come in and really close this thing out and get it done. Natalie Kerwin alongside Greg Kelser here, welcoming you all onto Pistons Live postgame. And wow, is all I have to say from watching that.
Incredible.
What a big win for this group, and a foundational win that I think will help them as they continue on through this season and into the playoffs, learning how to win through tough moments.
Yeah, learning how to win through tough moments, but also learning maybe a lesson while winning in keeping your heads, keeping your composure, because this is not over for the Pistons, I don't think. We'll find out what the future ramifications are going to be and what it might mean for the game in Toronto on Wednesday and then beyond. But staying in the moment, it was an incredible display of courage, I think, and just believing once again and showing everybody that no matter what, you know how to win, because the Pistons were without Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart from about the middle of the third quarter on. Ron Holland wasn't even in North Carolina for personal reasons, so that was part of the equation too. And I thought when all of that went down and they cleared everything out, that this crowd would be big time into it, and they were. But it was the Pistons that really stepped up to the challenge. They went from 8 up to 16 up once that melee occurred. And that gave them enough of a cushion to hang in there and deal with whatever Charlotte had left. And they ended up walking out of here with a big victory. It was tremendous. Cade Cunningham, huge down the stretch, as he has been all year. He's one of the best clutch performers in the league. That was on display tonight. But you cannot. Duncan Robinson, I thought, was excellent. You cannot say enough about Paul Reed. Paul Reed has saved them yet again. He's done it again.
Let's talk about him.
He's done it more times than one this year, when just pushed into action through attrition, when all those guys were out hurt early back in December. Remember, he played that great game, 28 and 13 against the Bulls. Played a great game against Philadelphia to follow that one up as a starter. But here tonight, out of nowhere, Paul Reed has to come in, and that's what he does, folks. He is not afraid of the moment. He'll tell you that he puts the work in, and he does. I mean, he works like nobody else. But he was always where the action was in this game, getting blocks, getting rebounds, getting assists, scoring the hoop, knocking down free throws. He was outstanding. Without Paul Reed being able to come into the game and do what he did tonight, Pistons would not have won. I'm sure of that. And I like what he said in his interview with you. Somebody's got to stay cool and poised. Yeah. As much as he would have liked to have gone out there.
I think every guy probably would have. You got to have each other's backs. But
you want to come into the game. You want to show your teammate I got your back. But Paul Reed understood, if I go out there, I'm going to be ejected. And then who's going to go out there?
Left?
Yeah, who's left? Who's going to get rebounds? Who's going to play defense? He kept his poise, and he helped seal this game.
Yeah, he did, and he's our Cure Auto player of the game for that reason. So he's always he comes in, and it was just funny throughout the broadcast. It's like he was in on every big play. It's like, oh, there he is again, rebound, steal, tip, this and that. I mean, he affects the game in so many ways, and that's what you got to love about him. So he is always ready, and that's his mindset. That's how he prepares every single day.
This was another example of just what we were talking about before the game. Most teams believe that when their opponents have to go to their bench, you got them. Because there's usually a drop-off of some sort when teams have to go to the bench. Well, the Pistons had to go deep on the bench because Jalen Duren's the starter, Isaiah Stewart's the backup, and Paul Reed's the backup to Isaiah Stewart. But there was no drop-off. In fact, it got better for the Pistons when Paul Reed came on the floor.
It's the opposite for Detroit, right? It's like, oh, don't worry. We're actually going to thrive when something like this happens and we have to go to our bench.
It's incredible.
So let's take a look then at that third quarter when that melee went down, Greg, just from what we saw. I mean, let's take a look at just how everything went down. And You know, obviously 4 ejections came from it, but let's take a look at how this starts.
So Musa Diabate and Jalen Duren go face-to-face, head-to-head after a foul on Diabate. And then the fist started swinging. And it didn't stop there. See, Jalen's going to hit first. But, you know, it kind of bumped heads. That sort of started it. So Jalen swings. Musa Diabate retaliates. But then he continues. He escalates the whole thing. Now he's racing, running after Jalen Duren, trying to get to him. And then from the other side, Miles Bridges is going to step in and try and get a punch in on Jalen Duren. So now he's involved in it. And that's what incensed Isaiah Stewart. You see Isaiah Stewart came flying off the bench. He didn't care. At that point, he did not care about any ejections, future ejections, or whatever. He was going out there in support of his teammate. So as a result, the 2 of them are ejected, Isaiah and Jalen, as well as Miles Bridges and Musa Diabate. And then it went from there. Later on, the Charlotte coach, Lee, was ejected. So it did have everything. It had everything. But the cooler heads turned out to be the Pistons with Cade Cunningham, Duncan Robinson, Paul Reed, Asar Thompson coming in, playing some key defensive moments. It was just a good team victory and another way that the Pistons were able to find, just how to get it done at the end. But at the same time, another lesson in, guys, we got to stay cool out there.
Just got
to figure out a way to stay cool even when the game might be at its most intense.
All right, everybody stay calm as best you can. And the rest of this group did, and they were able to get it done. So you mentioned Duncan Robinson. Let's talk about Dunkyard Dog. We're making him our Buick GMC Pro Vision here tonight. We saw a few plays from him, a few little dunks. Even though he made fun of himself, felt like he had a parachute on, he said, when he went up for that first one. But then I felt like he was flying after that.
Duncan played a really good game, a good movement without the ball game. Hit a couple of outside shots, but did a lot inside that arc for him. Here he is right here helping to corral ball. And this ball eventually, goes over to the Pistons. Here he is again, just in the right place with active hands. Here's that dunk he had, or near dunk he had, or dunk he didn't have in the first half. Beautiful footwork there. He's proud of his footwork when he's able to display it in a game. Got a 3-point opportunity there. Did get a dunk eventually in this game. He was a huge part of what the Pistons were able to accomplish. If I look at the notes, I'll find that Duncan Robinson had 18 points in the game. 18 big points in 24 minutes of action. He was 8 of 10 from the floor. Only 1 of 3 from triple land. He did a lot inside the arc.
Right, which is not what we usually see from him.
Not normally, but good to see.
Good to see, expanding the game a little bit, impacting it in other ways. Well, speaking of three-pointers, that's what Charlotte obviously was hanging their head on tonight, especially in that first half. But the Pistons were dominating inside, which is what they usually do. And that was the tail of the first half, as you were explaining really well. It was like strength on strength. Pistons were able to have the edge, obviously in the paint, and then Charlotte from the outside. But let's talk about Pistons' ability to continue to score in the paint. Those are our Xfinity high-speed highlights.
Well, here's the thing. The Pistons played to their personality, which was this: getting it done in the painted area, attacking the basket. They lead the league in points in the paint disparity. That's not going to change after tonight. They were 60-26 in the paint. What they were able to do was use that to ward off what the Hornets were doing behind that arc. They knocked down 19 out of 47 threes in this game. You don't lose too many games when you make that many threes. And so, that'll be the disappointment for Charlotte. They made 19 threes, and yet they still got the L because they could not contend with the Pistons on the inside. The Pistons just overwhelmed them in the painted area scoring.
Crazy. So Pistons, they were able to get it done despite how dominant, the Hornets were from the outside. But just happy to walk away from this one, Special K.
Yeah, I feel the same way. My hope was that the Pistons could win these last 2 games before the All-Star break and get to victory number 40. Tonight was victory number 39.
Yep.
They're right there on the heels of the Oklahoma City Thunder, right there on the heels. Both teams have 13 losses. Oklahoma City has played 1 more game. To do that now, they've got to win in Toronto, and we don't know what this team is going to look like after the NBA takes a further look at all that went down tonight. But fortunately for the Pistons, they've shown that they'll figure it out, whatever the case might be.
They will.
Yeah.
And they're creeping up on their win total last year of 44.
How about that? Before the All-Star break.
Can you believe that? That's crazy. So it just shows what this team has been able to do is an incredible story in itself. So absolutely unbelievable. JB Bickerstaff, we're going to head to him now in his post-game press conference after this wild game we saw here tonight inside Spectrum Center.